Every Sith Lord has a signature move, but some of these abilities are so broken, so terrifyingly overpowered, they make the Force itself look like a party trick. Today I'm breaking down the signature ability of every major Sith Lord, from pure combat monsters to literal gods, starting with the one who barely needed the Force at all. Darth Maul, Terrace Casey, and Saberstaff Mastery. Here's the thing about Darth Maul. Every other Sith on this list has some grand philosophy, some ancient ritual, some cosmic power that bends reality. Maul has none of that. He's a weapon. Sidious took him as a child and trained him not as a successor, not as a thinker, but as a personal assassin shaped entirely around one purpose: killing things extremely well. His signature ability was Terrace Casey, an ancient Force-infused martial art that emphasized kicks, throws, and hand-to-hand combat way beyond standard lightsaber technique. Pair that with a double-bladed saber nobody had used since ancient Sith eras, and you've got a guy who could engage multiple Jedi simultaneously while looking like a blender made of light. But the real proof? He got cut in half and came back. Where other Sith survived through dark rituals, Maul survived on pure hatred and the refusal to stop fighting, which is, not ideal for everyone else. No manipulation, no scheming, no cosmic horror, just violence perfected into an art form. But if you think raw fighting ability is impressive, wait until you see what happens when a Sith Lord picks up a fencing manual. Darth Tyrannus, Makashi Precision. Count Dooku was trained by Yoda. Let that sink in. He achieved the rank of Jedi Master, had the entire Jedi technical arsenal at his fingertips, and then walked away from all of it to become a Sith Lord. Which means when he showed up swinging a lightsaber, he wasn't just dangerous. He was dangerous with credentials. His signature was Makashi, the second form of lightsaber combat, an elegant, precise style built specifically for one-on-one dueling, basically fencing with a laser sword. By Dooku's era, almost nobody in the Jedi Order bothered with it anymore. They'd moved on to forms better suited for blaster deflection. Dooku reviving Makashi was a deliberate statement. He wasn't picking a fighting style, he was picking a philosophy. Even his curved lightsaber hilt wasn't vanity. The design enhanced Makashi's precision cuts and thrusts. Every movement in a duel looked like a chess grandmaster moving pieces across a board. Here's the thing though. Despite decades of mastery, despite training under the greatest Jedi who ever lived, he got his hands cut off by a 22-year-old running on rage. Anakin overwhelmed him in Revenge of the Sith, proving that surgical precision has a ceiling, and that ceiling is a supernaturally gifted maniac who refuses to stop swinging. The man orchestrated a galactic war that killed millions, yet genuinely saw himself as a gentleman, which is, not ideal. But if Tyrannus represents elegance taken to its limit, the next Sith proves what happens when raw power has zero elegance at all. Darth Vader, telekinetic force choke. Every other Sith on this list developed some exotic, complicated ability that requires a paragraph just to explain. Vader perfected choking people with his mind. That's it. That's the signature move. And somehow it became the most feared power in the entire galaxy. Here's the thing about Vader's force choke. It wasn't a combat technique, it was a management style. The man ran the Imperial Navy the way a particularly unhinged CEO runs a Fortune 500 company, except instead of firing you, he'd just close your windpipe from across the room. Admiral Ozzel, your strategy was suboptimal. You are now deceased. Standard quarterly review stuff. But what made it truly terrifying was the precision. Vader could modulate the intensity with surgical control, squeezing just enough to keep someone hovering at the edge of consciousness during an interrogation without actually killing them. He could also do it through a holographic transmission. Captain Nita learned that lesson the hard way. Imagine your boss calling you on a video screen and killing you through it, which is, not ideal. The real weapon was never the choke itself. It was what it did to everyone who witnessed it. Every officer in the Imperial fleet made decisions filtered through one question: will this get me choked? That kind of ambient terror doesn't require Vader to be in the room. It just requires him to exist. But if Vader's power was straightforward fear, his master took a very different approach to galactic domination. Darth Sidious, Force lightning and dark side clouds. Everybody knows Palpatine shoots lightning. That's the headline. That's the clip in every most powerful Sith compilation on the internet. And look, the lightning is genuinely terrifying. It could ragdoll a Jedi Master across a room, melt a lightsaber's ability to deflect it, and leave permanent scarring on anyone unlucky enough to survive. He made every other lightning user in the galaxy look like they were rubbing socks on carpet. But here's where it gets unsettling. The lightning was just the flashy part. Sidious had abilities that almost nobody talks about, and they're significantly worse. He was one of the most accomplished practitioners of Force concealment in Sith history. He sat in the same building as the entire Jedi Council for over a decade, radiated the dark side like a space heater, and not a single one of them sensed it. Yoda, Mace Windu. All of them walked right past him for years. He didn't just hide his presence, he actively clouded the Force itself, diminishing the Jedi's ability to see the future, sense danger, or trust their own instincts. The Jedi literally said their connection to the Force had been shrinking. The answer was sitting in the Chancellor's office the whole time. Most Sith can hurt you. Sidious could blind every Force user on the planet and make them doubt their own power without lifting a finger. He turned the Jedi's greatest weapon into a liability, which is, not ideal. The lightning destroys a person. The shroud destroyed an entire order. But if Sidious mastered hiding in plain sight, his master was busy manipulating life itself. Darth Plagueis, midi-chlorian manipulation. Every other Sith on this list mastered how to use the Force. Plagueis wanted to know what the Force actually is. Not philosophically, not spiritually, at a cellular level. He's the scientist on a roster full of warriors and sorcerers, and his research program might be the most terrifying thing any Sith ever attempted. While most darkside practitioners channeled their power through emotion, rage, instinct, Plagueis treated the Force like a biological system waiting to be reverse-engineered. His obsession was midi-chlorians, the microscopic organisms living inside every cell of every living thing, responsible for Force sensitivity itself. He didn't just study them. He built secret laboratories dedicated to understanding how midi-chlorian concentration affected Force ability, life extension, and whether biological resurrection was even possible. And here's the thing. His results were apparently extraordinary. Plagueis reportedly cracked the code on death. Not metaphorically. He could allegedly extend lifespans indefinitely, prevent death through precise Force application, and theoretically create life itself by manipulating midi-chlorians directly. That's not a superpower. That's rewriting the operating system of the universe. His own body served as proof of concept. Plagueis survived over 100 years while maintaining full physical vigor, which is a pretty compelling data point for a guy claiming he'd solve mortality. The precise mechanisms stayed obscure, because of course they did. You don't publish your findings when your research subject is cheating death. But the universe apparently has opinions about people who try to hack its source code, because his own apprentice, Sidious, murdered him in his sleep. The one guy who figured out how to prevent death couldn't prevent his own. I don't know what to tell you. And if Plagueis was the Sith who understood the rules of the game, the next one literally rewrote them for every Sith who followed. Darth Bane, Orbalisk Armor and Essence Transfer. Darth Bane pursued immortality from two completely opposite directions at the same time, and honestly, both of them are horrifying. Direction 1, make the body indestructible. Orbalisks were living parasitic organisms that bonded directly to a Force user's flesh, forming a layer of biological armor that could resist lightsaber strikes, enhance physical strength, and turn the wearer into something closer to a tank than a person. The trade-off? They fed on your life force constantly, like wearing a suit made of leeches that also happened to be bulletproof. Most Force users who attempted the bonding process didn't survive it. Bane not only survived, he thrived in it. Direction 2. Make the body irrelevant. Bane obsessively studied essence transfer, the ability to rip your consciousness out of a dying body and force it into a new host. He spent years hunting down ancient Sith knowledge on the technique, and near the end of his life, he actually attempted it on his own apprentice, Zana. The idea of your master trying to literally hijack your body is unsettling enough. The fact that it nearly worked is worse. But here's the thing. Neither the parasite armor nor the immortality tricks are what made Bane the most consequential Sith Lord in history. His real signature move was an idea, the Rule of Two. Only 2 Sith at any time. 1 master, 1 apprentice. Every single Sith Lord who came after him on this list exists because of that philosophy. He didn't just master the dark side, he restructured it entirely. And if restructuring an entire religion sounds impressive, wait until you meet the Sith Lord who couldn't even decide which side of the Force he was on. Darth Revan, Force Storm, and Tactical Duality. Revan breaks the rules of this list. Every other Sith Lord on here has a signature ability you can point to and say that's the thing. Force Lightning, Force Drain, Essence Transfer. Revan's signature ability is essentially refusing to pick a side and getting stronger because of it. Let me explain. Yes, Force Storm is the flashy headline. The ability to generate massive, force-driven environmental phenomena, localized regions where conventional physics just stopped applying. Reality-warping distortion fields with a destructive radius that made Force Lightning look like a party trick. That's impressive on its own, but here's where it gets interesting. Revan's real power was tactical duality. He functioned as a Jedi, then a Sith Lord, then a Jedi Knight again, then something else entirely. And at every single stage, he was terrifyingly effective. Most Force users commit to one philosophy and build their entire power structure around it. Revan looked at the Jedi-Sith binary and said, "No thanks, I'll take both." And the Force apparently rewarded him for it. His capacity to draw from both light and dark simultaneously generated power beyond what practitioners locked into a single framework could access. This wasn't inconsistency, it was sophistication. The man defeated Darth Malak aboard the Starforge, an ancient Rakatan factory that fed on dark side energy at planetary scales. You don't pull that off by being confused about your identity. You do that by understanding the Force at a level where the labels stop mattering. Revan was a philosopher general whose battlefield was reality itself, and the most unsettling implication of his existence is simple. The entire Jedi-Sith divide, the foundation of every conflict in this franchise, might itself be the limitation. But if Revan proved you could transcend death through philosophy, the next Sith Lord proved you could transcend it through something far worse. Pure, unrelenting agony. Darth Sion, eternal pain and resurrection. Most Sith Lords cheat death through some elegant ritual or ancient technique. Sion just said no. That's it. He died, and then he simply refused to accept the outcome. And then he did it again, and again, and again, each time coming back uglier, angrier, and somehow more powerful than before. Here's the thing about Sion. His body was, by every medical and biological standard, a corpse. We're talking visible scars from burns, cuts, amputations, and wounds so severe that no living organism should be walking around with them. He looked like someone had taken a person apart and then reassembled them wrong, multiple times, because that's basically what happened. His entire physical existence was held together by the dark side, the way duct tape holds together a car that should have been scrapped 6 accidents ago. But he wasn't just surviving, he was fighting, effectively. This walking collection of scar tissue and spite could hold his own in combat against trained Force users, which is the part that really breaks your brain. The pain never stopped, not for a second. He existed in permanent, screaming agony, and instead of letting that destroy him, he turned it into fuel. Every nerve-ending firing was another battery feeding his connection to the dark side. The philosophical inversion here is genuinely disturbing. Normal beings avoid pain to survive. Sion needed pain to survive. He weaponized suffering itself, turning dying into a renewable resource. Every death made him stronger, every wound deepened his power. Whether that represents true mastery of the dark side or just the galaxy's most stubborn man refusing to read the room is honestly up for debate. What isn't up for debate is how unsettling it is. No lightning, no rituals, no cosmic manipulation, just a broken body fueled by pure refusal. But if you think a man who can't die is disturbing, wait until you meet the one who makes sure nothing else can live. Darth Nihilus, Force Drain, and Essence Consumption. Up until this point, every Sith Lord on this list has been a person who uses a power. Nihilus isn't that. Nihilus is what happens when the power uses the person. He stopped being a man at some point and became something closer to a natural disaster wearing a mask. His signature ability was Force Drain, but calling it that feels like calling a supernova a bit warm. Every other Force user who drained life force did it to individual targets, maybe a room full of people if they were really pushing it. Nihilus did it to a planet, the entire planet Qatar, every living creature, every force-sensitive individual, every organism down to the microbiological level, consumed in a single event. The whole world went from thriving civilization to lifeless void in moments. Not a battle, not a siege, just silence. Here's where it gets genuinely disturbing. The life force he consumed didn't transfer somewhere else. It didn't redistribute into the Force or pass into some cosmic recycling bin. It stopped existing permanently. He was essentially a black hole for life itself, creating permanent dead zones in the Force wherever he fed. That's not a power. That's entropy with a lightsaber. And the hunger was never satisfied. It couldn't be. Nihilus existed in a state of perpetual starvation, always needing to consume more, always escalating. His crew spent their entire existence hunting for new concentrations of Force-sensitive beings to feed him, like some kind of galaxy-spanning meal delivery service for an eldritch horror. The hunger wasn't something he controlled. It was autonomous, self-escalating, and fundamentally what he was, not a Sith Lord with an appetite. An appetite that happened to still be shaped like a Sith Lord. But if you think a walking extinction event is the ceiling for Sith power, Vitiate looked at planetary consumption and said that's cute. Darth, Vitiate, planet-wide rituals. Every Sith Lord on this list wielded power that could reshape a battlefield, a government, or even the boundary between life and death. Vitiate looked at all of that and decided to think bigger, specifically planet-sized bigger. His most infamous act was a single dark side ritual performed on the planet Nathema. One ceremony, one sustained, coordinated channeling of dark side energy through 8,000 Sith Lords, feeding power into a connected ritual framework. And when it was finished, every living thing on the planet was dead. Millions of people wiped out in a single act. Not conquered, not enslaved, consumed. The planet itself was left a barren husk so thoroughly drained that the Force simply didn't exist there anymore. Nathema became a wound in reality, a place where even standing on the surface felt fundamentally wrong, like the universe had a hole punched through it. Here's the thing about Vitiate. His power wasn't a technique. It wasn't something he could just do on a Tuesday afternoon. It was infrastructure. His rituals required massive preparation, thousands of Sith Lords channeling energy through him, and sustained concentration across time frames that would make most Darkside users lose interest and go force choke somebody. This was engineered apocalypse, and he didn't stop at destruction. Vitiate achieved immortality through that same ritual on Nathema, then sustained it by transferring his essence into host bodies he called voices, puppeting them like he was swapping shirts. He had functionally transcended biological limitation entirely. Death wasn't a threat to him. It was an inconvenience. Every other Sith on this list wielded power. Vitiate rewrote the rules that power operates under. He turned the dark side into a planetary superweapon, the most complete inversion of everything the Jedi believed in that Sith lore has ever produced. And honestly, I don't know what to tell you. Some guys just take it too far. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.